We place our faith in doctors, guardians of our health, keepers of our secrets. We trust them with our lives, trust the bedrock of medicine. But what if that trust is twisted, used as a weapon? In Hyde's Greater Manchester, ordinary people lived ordinary lives. Among them, Dr. Harold Shipman, the respected family doctor. He knew their ailments, their secrets, but did they know his? The doctor's surgery, a place of healing or something far more sinister? For many it became a place where trust met a terrible end. The white coat, a symbol of care, became a cloak for unspeakable deeds. This is a story of betrayal, of a man who held life and death in his hands, and chose death again and again. Darkness hiding in plain sight, the ultimate abuse of power, the good doctor who was anything but. How could this happen? How could so many lives be stolen by the one person they trusted most? The questions linger, hauntingly. In Hyde, trust was shattered, and the truth would chill a nation. Harold Shipman, born in Nottingham, 1946, a bright, studious child, he watched his mother's pain eased by morphine. Did that plant a seed, a fascination with control? We can only guess. He chose medicine, trained at Leeds, and became a doctor. Pontefract, Todmorden. Then in 1977, Hyde. At Donnybrook Medical Centre, then his own practice, he built a solid reputation. Patients liked him. He seemed attentive, caring, he made house calls, a rarity. To many he was the model GP, but beneath the calm exterior, a different man lurked. In 1975, a conviction for forging prescriptions for pethidine, an opioid for his own use, a fine. He kept his license. The system looked the other way. Shipman learned to hide his true nature. The people of Hyde saw a compassionate physician. He listened, offered comfort, shared tea. This was the mask he perfected. It allowed him to get close, too close, and to commit the ultimate betrayal. Unseen, unsuspected for years. The mask of compassion hid a predator. He adapted, learned, and waited. The community saw only kindness, but darkness was growing behind the smile. Shipman's secret life was just beginning. The trust he built would become his deadliest weapon, and no one suspected a thing. Not yet. Hyde, a quiet English town. People lived, died, trusted their doctor, but something was wrong. Dr. Shipman's elderly female patients died at an unusual rate. Who would question the family doctor? So many funerals. Undertakers noticed. Some doctors too. Was it just a coincidence? The victims were often elderly, living alone. He'd visit them at home, black bag in hand, no struggle, no fuss, just gone. The deaths mounted unseen until it was too late. How did Dr. Shipman turn healing hands into instruments of death? His method was chillingly simple. Dimorphine, medical-grade heroin. In high doses, it's lethal, suppressing breathing until victims simply stopped. It mimicked natural death, especially in the elderly. He administered fatal doses during house calls or in his surgery, alone with his patients. No witnesses, they trusted him. He controlled the narrative, the death certificate. He often advised against autopsies, unnecessary, he'd say. Families, trusting his judgment, agreed. The deception was meticulous. He altered medical records before or after death, creating symptoms that weren't there, exaggerating conditions. So when death came, it seemed inevitable. He covered his tracks with every entry, every signature, a calculated campaign of murder hidden behind routine practice. He preyed on the vulnerable, the trusting, those who saw him as a comforter. He exploited that trust, weaponized it. The very people he was sworn to protect became his victims. For years he moved through his community, a predator in a white coat, his little black bag, not a symbol of healing but a harbinger of death. The audacity was breathtaking, the secret chilling, and for so long no one suspected. The method was simple, the deception masterful, and the cost immeasurable. Trust turned fatal. It wasn't just about killing. Shipman's darkness had another layer: greed. He stole from his victims after their deaths, defenseless, gone. He forged wills, the most notorious Kathleen Grundy, former mayoress of Hyde. She died suddenly in June 1998. Shipman was the last to see her alive. A crudely typed will left her estate nearly £400,000 to him. Her family was shocked. The will was a clumsy fake. Experts confirmed it wasn't her handwriting. The typewriter traced to Shipman's surgery. He had become bold, reckless. Perhaps he thought he was untouchable. This act of blatant forgery was a fatal mistake. It began his unraveling. Kathleen Grundy wasn't the only one. Investigations suggested a pattern, enriching himself at the expense of those he murdered. Small sums, property, manipulated records. He was not just a killer, but a thief, a con man, using his trusted status to defraud those who looked to him for care. The sanctity of their final wishes violated their memory, tainted by his avarice. A truly dark legacy, greed and murder intertwined, the betrayal cut even deeper. Shipman's crimes were not just of the body, but of the soul. He stole lives and legacies, and finally he left a trail, one that would lead to his downfall. Trust was Shipman's most insidious weapon. He cultivated it meticulously, patiently. He played the part to perfection. Gentle voice, attentive ear, unhurried house call. These were the threads of his web, drawing victims closer. He targeted the elderly, often women living alone, more reliant, more isolated, their deaths less likely to raise alarms. He became a fixture in their lives, a confidant, almost a friend. He ended lives in their own homes, the ultimate violation of trust. He controlled the information, shaped their understanding. The web of deceit was complex, terrifyingly effective. The cost of misplaced trust. Sometimes it takes one voice to break the silence. For Shipman, that voice was Angela Woodruff, Kathleen Grundy's daughter, a solicitor, sharp and perceptive. When the suspicious will appeared, she questioned it. This wasn't her mother. Why would she disinherit her family for her doctor? Angela went to the police. The investigation began, slowly, focused on the will. But as they dug deeper, more questions emerged. The sheer number of death certificates signed by Shipman, especially for elderly women dying at home. Kathleen Grundy's body was exhumed. The toxicology report, fatal overdose of diamorphine. Murder, not natural causes. The investigation widened. More exhumations, more evidence. Computer records told a story of altered notes, fictitious illnesses. The scale of his crimes began to emerge, staggering, unprecedented. The good doctor of Hyde, unmasked as Britain's most prolific serial killer. The community was in shock, but the unmasking also revealed systemic failures. Concerns had been raised before by professionals, by an undertaker. A covert police investigation in 1998 found insufficient evidence. Shipman was cleared. Why were the warning signs missed? Why was trust so absolute? Angela Woodruff's courage opened a Pandora's box. The truth was out, the system had failed, and the cost was measured in lives. One daughter's determination changed everything. The silence was broken, and the reckoning began. Justice was finally within reach. In October 1999, Harold Shipman stood trial. The evidence, medical records, forged documents, toxicology reports, was overwhelming. Shipman denied everything, but the truth unraveled before the nation. Guilty on all counts, 15 life sentences, justice for 15 victims, but the true scale was horrifying. Shipman had likely murdered over 200 patients. The impact was profound on families, the community, the nation. New regulations followed to prevent another Shipman. The shadow of Shipman would not be forgotten. Harold Shipman died in prison by his own hand in 2004. He took his secrets with him. The full extent of his darkness, perhaps never to be known, but his legacy endures. A chilling reminder of the human capacity for evil, even in the most trusted professions. The name Shipman is now synonymous with betrayal, the ultimate violation of the doctor-patient bond. Can any system be truly foolproof against a determined manipulator? Trust is precious, but it cannot be blind. Power demands scrutiny, always. The memory of Shipman's victim serves as a permanent, painful reminder, and we must never forget.